everybody, welcome to our virtual event, Union City Keeps It Moving. This is our first day of our 2-day virtual event. Our goal is to highlight the importance of exercise in our Parkinson's community. Over the past 5 years, our staff here at the Mark Green Sports Center in Union City have seen firsthand just how much a difference exercise can make for individuals battling Parkinson's. Today, you get a demo of PWR moves with Rob, hear tips from a physical therapist, and get your boxing on in our Rock Steady boxing class during the live Zoom portion of this event at the end of the presentation. But let's get started by telling you our story.
The Parkinson's exercise program here in Union City is really something special, and when I think back to where we began to where we are now, it really amazes me just how far we've come in our scope and as well as our participation in the community that we have. And if I had to tell the story of the program, I would say for me at least, it starts off with an incredible woman and Sports Center member by the name of Ann Boylan. I was a part-time worker here and an instructor and trainer, and after teaching class one day, my first interaction with Ann was her coming up to me and saying, "Hey Rob, that was a great class. Have you ever thought about getting certified in these specialized classes that help people with Parkinson's?" I was still going to school and my priorities were everywhere. And it really took persistence from Ann, who would come up to me from time to time and just remind me how much help I could be to the community and just that the opportunities were there.
Oh, I think she's just a gem. Through her, we've been able to learn so much about the program and all the resources available to her as well as the participants. She participates in the other activities to get everyone kind of rallied and involved in it. So she's really a key component of our program, and without her and her help in applying for the grants and motivating us as instructors, I don't think we would have had the program that we have now.
Anne mentioned to me that there was a possibility of getting a grant from the National Parkinson's Foundation, and we said, sure, we're open to it.
I remember I was at the point where I'd recently been diagnosed, and I wanted to know what I could do on my own behalf to mitigate against the effects of Parkinson's. And I had heard that exercise was a very good thing to do. But the problem was here in Union City, and actually in this whole area in the East Bay, there were no Parkinson-specific exercise programs. In fact, not too many people heard of it. But when I got involved with the very first moving day in 2015, they included local grants to bring Parkinson's disease resources to local communities of the participants in the moving day. And so that's when I started, because I had taken a class from you, and I said, gee, Rob would be fantastic at this. He understands the benefits of exercise. And then I talked to some of my fellow classmates and just very shyly said, you know, I've got this team for moving day, and the support was so warm and really giving. So that started the encouragement of my fellow classmates who are people in my community, and the recognition and support of people like Rob and the other instructors.
I finished teaching a class one morning and my supervisor called me into her office. I didn't know what she was going to tell me. She told me to have a seat, and she told me, how would you like to teach Parkinson's classes? I looked at her and I think about it, and I was like, I don't know what I was getting into, but I told her yes.
I basically was asked with one of the members, Anne, she told me about this wonderful program. She would really like me to be involved. And so I kind of researched it, then went to a wonderful workshop through Union City, who sponsored us and provided the means to get there, and took the class and just really thought that it was something that I enjoyed doing. Also, as it came to pass, was caring for my mom, and she ended up having Parkinson's as well. So it was a way to connect both things together. I could bring her to class, I could help other participants, and kind of hone my skills, since I have a large dance background as well as a athletic background as well.
We were the first 3 here at the Sports Center to get certified in some of the premier Parkinson's exercise classes: Rock Steady Boxing, Power Moves, Dance for Parkinson's. Since 2016, we've been able to add more classes, yoga for Parkinson's, and added a couple more instructors, Mike Quebec and Nancy Flores.
They found out that I had worked with movement and modified martial arts for fitness, and so they thought I would be a good fit for this particular program.
In 2017, I was working on my advanced yoga teacher training locally in Oakland. And because I had taught previously here at the Sports Center and I had you as a contact, I phoned you and I told you that I was working on my advanced teacher training and I could serve special populations like Parkinson's, and you stopped me right there and said, hey, we offer classes here, and I was really thrilled because I just really wanted to provide a class for people in this area where I lived.
We started off with just having class once a week with about 1 to 3 people per class, and quickly the word grew, and we went and did demonstrations at other support group meetings. We reached out to medical professionals.
We offer 4 different types of classes, up to 25 participants. We have caregiver and participant support groups.
We not only do exercise classes, we do fundraisers together, we go to special events together.
It provided us with a support group because all the people who go to the Parkinson's exercise classes and all the instructors in the classes are people who are interested in improving. If they're the highly motivated folks. And so it was great to bring us together, and then we became support for new people who joined in who weren't sure, and then they became enthusiastic.
It has really humbled me just how much of a fight that these people in our classes and the community has as a whole, and it really inspires me.
I'd like to think that if I can do my bit for folks now, maybe someone will be kind enough to do the same for me.
I feel like this is family. I feel that I benefit in their presence. I learn from them. We learn from each other. It really is very grounding for me to be able to be here, a part of this community, and grow together.
If you watch the Parkinson's class and see the participants, you can see their progress, and you can also see the joy that they get from coming to class, acknowledging each other, smiling when they're accomplishing just the tiniest little thing, and I love it.
I knew nothing about Parkinson's, and I now know very little, but it's incredible as to how much it's changed my life, and I realized how much Parkinson's does affect so many people around us. And it's a privilege and an honor to be able to participate with the program, and I'm extremely proud of all the staff that have helped make this happen. And I thank Anne for including us in this new path.
I want to say thank you to the people who've taken on this program, because unless Union City and the staff like Rob and Jessica and Karina and many others were willing to take this on, we really couldn't have it. So it was a wonderful meeting of the hearts. So I hope more cities recognize this. I hope more people recognize that they can make something like this happen in their own community.
I hope all of you enjoyed our story. Now it's time to get into our first movement demo of the day, and that's going to be Power Moves. Let's hop into the aerobics room to see what this class is all about. So Power Moves is a physical therapy-based exercise class that is focused on high effort and high amplitude movements, meant to be done in different positions. You can do it sitting on a chair, standing up. You would get down onto all fours in the quadruped position, onto our bellies and onto our backs. And you want to be able to do these movements in different positions because you never know where life's going to put you and what position you'll find yourself in. So we're going to be focused on the chair for this exercise demo. But if you stick till the end during the live Zoom portion, you're going to be able to see Carmen live. And you're going to be able to do these from the seated and standing position, as well as get feedback from Carmen herself. But what I wanted to do for now is show you the 4 basic power movements that you would do from the chair position. And I want everybody on the edge of their chair. I want you sitting upright. Your back's not touching the back of the chair here. And I want your hands on your knees. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start by teaching you guys the power up. So that means you're gonna hinge forward, and when we say up, you explode up. I want you to pop your chest out, spread those fingers, and breathe out. So we're gonna go down and up, down and up. Catch my rhythm here if you can. And up. Let's count down from 10. 10 and 9 and 8 and 7. Cores tight and engaged. 6. Spread those fingers. 5. Flick them out for me. 4. 3 and 2 and 1. Good, that's the power up. Now we're gonna go ahead and practice the rock. So it looks like this. You're gonna place your forearm onto your leg. And if you can, extend that opposite leg for me. Good. Flick those fingers out, reach up to the ceiling, and you're leaning to one side of your body. Flick those fingers, look at your hand, extend that leg. Let's count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, good. That's your power rock from the seated position. Now I want everyone to get powered up here. You're gonna hold this position, cores tight, sitting nice and upright. Spread your fingers, and we're gonna do the power twist. I really want you to twist and keep your hand right there. You open up right back to center. Twist and open. Twist and open. Twist and open. Let's count down. Twist. 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. All right, now hands back at your knees, get your feet together. We're gonna do the power step, thinking about getting out the car, right? Big step, step, and center, center. Lift that leg up. Step, step, center, center. Let's count down. 10, step, center, center, and 9, step, center, center, 8, step, center, center, 7, and center, center, 6, center, center, 5. A lot of repetitions. Center, center, 4. Big steps. And 3. Center, center, 2. And center, and center. Last one here. 1. And center, and center. So those are the 4 basic power movements. Let's spice it up a little bit before we let you leave this demo here. We're gonna do all of those movements again for an 8 count, but we're gonna change up the movement just a little bit so that way you can see the variety that we can add to this class, and really the possibilities are endless. So we're gonna go ahead into the powered up position again. We're gonna go for a 10 count, but instead of doing the normal power up, I want you to touch down to the floor and then reach to the sky, okay? Touch down to the floor and reach to the sky. Ready, down, power up, spread those fingers, and up. Now we're on 8, 8. Count with me at home if you can. 7, and 6, and 5. Flick those fingers. 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. All right, normally we do a power rock like this, but instead, can you touch the ground? If you can't, that's okay. Touch, and rock, and rock. Let's count down. 10, and 9. Look at those hands. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, flick those fingers out, 3, 2, and 1. All right, how are we gonna change up the power twist working on this axial mobility? Now, you're gonna clap when I say clap in whichever direction I say. So if I say right, you clap and open up. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with that. Everybody powered up position, hands nice and wide. Ready, right. Open, left. Open, left. Open, right. And open, right. And open. Let's get a few more. Right. Open, left. 2 more. Listen up. Left. And right. And good. All right. How are we going to switch up the stepping pattern? I want you to do a half step, so one leg, and then I want you to do that rock to the ground and center and step, rock and center. Step, touch that ground and center. And step, rock, and center. That's 7. Step, rock, 6. And step, rock, and that's 5. Step, rock, 4. And step, rock, and 3. Step, rock, and 2. And step, rock, and 1. Awesome. So that's the power moves from the seated position. You learned all 4 of them, and then you learned how we can spice the movements up a little bit by changing a little bit about the movement. Now, again, you would be doing this from the standing position. You'd be doing these from the all fours position, the quadruped position, as well as on your belly and on your back. And there's many different ways you can modify those 4 basic movements to different positions. Stay tuned to the end for the live demonstration with Carmen. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, so exercise, the research, especially me being a physical therapist, I want to look at what the research is showing. And the research is really showing that exercise is medicine. It's kind of like, taking a little pill of dopamine or your Cinemet. Well, let's say the equivalent of that little pill of dopamine was an hour's worth of exercise. Isn't that cool? So if you figured out a way to, fit the exercise into your lifestyle, it's just like taking your medications. And so, your mobility will be better, your thinking will be better, your mood will be better. And we just know that there's so much research out there to show how exercise is really helpful. Back in the day, they used to say, well, people with Parkinson's, they should rest. Well, now that they figured out that's actually completely wrong. Immobility is our greatest challenge. And so keeping people moving is really what will keep people going. If they say that Parkinson's is kind of a downhill, at some point you're going to go downhill, it's a progressive disease and you're expected to go kind of downhill. We like people to be as high up on that hill as possible and stay up there for as long as possible before anything starts to go down. And in my experience, I only deal with Parkinson's. We have people who have stayed up there, who have even climbed higher many years into their Parkinson's. And so that's something that we always recommend.
It's really been helpful. If I exercise for an hour, it gives me relief from the tremors for a couple of hours. So that's why I mainly do so much exercise. And I do the yoga and I do the boxing and the power up classes. Those are very helpful, very, very helpful. I've really cut down since the pandemic because it's not as fun as being with other people. and it's not as easy to exercise when there's nobody else around you. You're more motivated, and it's just a lot more social when you have other people with you. It doesn't seem like a chore. It seems like a game of fun. My favorite is the boxing. I really enjoy the boxing because it incorporates mind and body. You know, a lot of times we have to say numbers or think, or you make us repeat different mantras, and it's just a good workout, and it's just fun to hit something. The programs are great. The Power Up and the boxing, they're really great programs. The memories I have, I think, are of the people actually. You know, I enjoy seeing the other people and how they're faring. You want to make sure that everybody's okay. And yeah, the memories are just of the people. It's really enjoyed the people. I think you should get connected with a support group and start an exercise program.
So later on in this event, we're going to do a Rocksteady boxing demo via Zoom. But before we get into that, I want you to learn a little bit about the techniques involved in our boxing classes. So I'm going to pass it on to Mike Quebec so he can get you guys ready for those live demonstrations.
Hello, my name is Mike Quebec. I am an instructor here at the Mark Green Sports Center in Union City. I've been doing Taekwondo since 1982, boxing since 1992, as well as gymnastics and swing dancing, interestingly enough, since 1995. And I've been teaching all of those things. I'm also a certified coach in both competitive boxing and kickboxing, as well as Rocksteady boxing for Parkinson's. And for today, I'm gonna show you boxing techniques, the basic punches, the basic defense, the basic footwork, and I'm going to be going back and forth between the idealized sport or combat sport version, as well as modifications for novices. And as you notice, I have a chair here, and that's an option that you can use for balance, and I'll be going back and forth between the two. All right, so one thing I want to get used to is a sideways stance. Now, if I have a line directly underneath me, I'm gonna be right over the line. I'm gonna take my back foot. Now, this is where it gets tricky. If I'm right-handed, which I am, I have my left side forward. In other words, my dominant side is back. If a person is left-handed, they're gonna have their left hand back. I know that seems a little counterintuitive, but that's basically how we do this. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in a orthodox stance. And again, you can modify it. If you're left-handed, you will stand the opposite direction. If I'm over a line, if I'm standing over a line, I'm going to take my back foot and take a half step forward. I'm going to turn my toes towards an angle, sideways angle there, and I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to think of dropping my weight right straight down and bending my knees. You know, you notice I have my back foot. Let me turn this way so you can see. My back heel is off the floor because I'm going to drive off of my back foot, okay? Now I'm gonna have my elbows in, palms facing down, right underneath my eyes, have my chin right into my shoulder. My back foot has to be off my back heel, I should say. Back heel has to be off the floor because I'm gonna drive off of my back foot to shoot my jab. As I do that, I drop my weight down, I slide in, and this is my jab. I'm going to extend it straight out. I don't want to wind up. I don't want to do a wind up. I want to drive in. And you notice I keep my hands up. Some coaches are very adamant about keeping the rear hand here. They say they're worried about a hook coming. Other coaches, they say right here because there's the overhand right. I say for Parkinson's, and also because of the overhand right, it's been my experience, I say for Parkinson's, have the hand right here. That way, in case you lose balance, we can catch ourselves on the floor with an open palm. Okay, so I'm pushing off the back foot. I'm going to drive in. This is the jab, and I snap it out. The power comes off of the back leg, as well as dropping the weight down. So this is, you want to snap it out. You want to breathe out. Imagine that you're in a library, right? See? just like that. Driving in. If I do this slowly, I do it this way. I'm gonna hold on to the chair. So this is a modification. You can use the chair for balance here, okay? Just as you get used to, because this is counterintuitive. Pushing off of the ground, that's not natural for most folks. Most folks, when they think power punches, they think the big John Wayne wind-up, you know, like in the old Westerns, winding up. And they do that in movies so that way you can see the punch. But for our purposes, we just wanna lunge. It's almost like a fencer's lunge. Actually, it is like a fencer's lunge because that's where boxing comes from, okay? But this is the jab. The cross, move the chair back, and then I'm gonna bring the chair again. With the back heel off the floor, I'm gonna do this little corkscrew motion. This back side of my hip turns only once I've turned, the rear hand follows along. Shoulder right into the ear, protecting my jawline. So this is the cross. I'm going slowly, but this is the cross. Again, some coaches are very adamant. I had one coach who used to say, keep it up here. I had another coach who says, keep it here. All are in agreement, however, that you don't do this, okay? So you don't want to drop your hands. Now, you especially don't want to drop your hands because in case you lose balance and you overextend, at least with your hands up, you can catch the floor, okay? So this is the cross. I'm going to do this slowly. Turning the hip, getting a corkscrew motion. Heel is off the floor. That's the cross. If balance is tricky for whatever day, we have good days and we have days that could be better, you might want to hold on to the chair here in front as you practice the cross. You could do this as a modification. We've got our cross. You notice my front foot is into the floor right now. When I do the hook, I'm thinking of this side of the hip turning. Now, notice, front heel comes off the floor, back foot is now on the floor, okay? So I'm getting used to this turning motion, turning, twisting, doing the twist. Twist again like we did last summer, right? All right, so gotta warn you, I'm into vintage culture, so if I reference 50s and 60s teenage stuff, just go with it. That's what Google is for. You can always Google what I'm talking about if you don't dig what we're talking here, okay? All right, I'm turning. Ideally, this hand is right here. This is turned over. It's called a hook. It's a circular punch with the elbow bent. You have to have the elbow bent. If this doesn't hurt your wrist, do it this way. If this doesn't hurt your wrist, do it this way. Hand on the chair if it's new to you and you feel, okay, I'm not sure of my footing. I should mention this. My width of my feet, the distance between my feet, more or less about shoulder width. If I'm really wide, I can be planted, but it's hard for me to move. If I'm really narrow, I can move, but the problem is now my balance. So I kind of want more or less around shoulder width. I want to have my weight over my feet, and I'm turning. This is the hook, okay? So I'm just doing this motion right here, just getting used to that. Weights over the front foot, now weights on the back foot. Turning the front part of the hip that's facing my target, my front heel is turning. Reviewing the 3 punches, this is the jab. You notice I drive off of my back foot. This is the cross, I turn the hip. This is the hook, I turn the hip. One more time, actually 2 more times. Jab, cross, hook, or jab, cross, hook. Jab, cross, hook. Okay, so right now those are the main ones. There are other punches that we have. You have the uppercut, you have the hook to the body, overhand right. We have weaving, which works the legs, fading back. I didn't cover the Philly shell, which is another stance that we take. Okay, those are things that we cover in a modified form for our Rock City boxing program here at the Mark Green Sports Center in Union City.
So strength is actually really important for the brain. It's actually strength training is great for balance, believe it or not, too. So when you do strength training, and you can start with dumbbells or something at home. You can use your own body weight, like squats and plank or various things at home. If you have access to a gym, once they open up, using some of those some of those weight machines can help build some muscle. And it's important too, I think, to know which muscle groups are you actually strengthening and why. It's not okay to just go into the gym and start pumping iron without really understanding how this is going to affect your body, how it's going to affect your posture, your balance, and all those different things. Now, on top of that, let's say you get yourself into a bit of a strength routine. Adding a little bit of instability. The research shows that when you add a little bit of instability, it will actually help with balance because it increases your cognitive load. What I mean by instability is, let's say you had a ball that you sat on and you just did your bicep curls by sitting on a ball. That in itself creates more cognitive load, which is helpful for people with balance. More cognitive load means the brain has to work better, which means better balance, which means, of course, better quality of life. Strength training is also better for symptom management or symptom relief. So if you've got that slowness, that stiffness, tremor, strength training is going to be better for you versus, let's say, getting on a bicycle and just doing the bike for 30 minutes. The aerobic portion of exercise is important because that actually helps slow the progression of the disease. It has more to do with the mechanics of the brain functioning versus the symptoms. So one is strength for symptoms and the other is aerobics for slowing the progression of the disease.
Aloha, Union City and California, beyond and beyond. This is Ann Boylan. Calling you from, or speaking to you from Union City, California, not too far from my favorite spot in the whole state, which is the Union City Mark Green Sports Center, home of this amazing Parkinson's exercise and support program. In this part of the East Bay, which had previous to this, no resources whatsoever, but thanks to the Parkinson's Foundation and its moving day local grants, an inspired way to really make possible meaningful resources for people with Parkinson's. It also has provided us with a place where we can gather and draw in support. Today, I want to especially talk to you about the fact that California, since we began our moving days in San Jose, has become a state with a chapter. So we are officially now the California chapter of the Parkinson's Foundation as an active group and program. We're very proud of the very first e-newsletter that Rob's going to make sure you are able to get a hold of, because it features local heroes. And guess who the first local hero is? It's our very own Robert Magnabua, and all the many, many creative and inspired things he's done to help us directly with our exercise, but also encourage others and other people who can provide these kinds of exercises as well. If you turn to the newsletter itself, you'll see the inspired moments. And I also want to point out or do a shout out. If you move into the newsletter a little more, you'll notice that it's talking about women and Parkinson's disease. It's not too well known that women experience Parkinson's disease differently from their male counterparts. And the Parkinson's Foundation was the first to call attention to this through a Women in Parkinson's Disease initiative. And you'll notice I'd like you to see in the photograph of the women who put on the very first Parkinson's Foundation Women's Conference in the East Bay in Fremont 2 years ago, that there are a couple of women who are also our loyal exercise participants. So a shout out to Marie Cates and to Kitty Maxwell, who are featured in that photo, as well as Therese Gaines, who's also featured in that photo. Everyone participated and lent a great hand to the effort. So exciting news. As time has gone by, we are now officially a California chapter, and it is absolutely fantastic that our program and Robert is featured in the very, very first newsletter.
I want to talk to you all about joining our Parkinson's Foundation Moving Day team. It's called All Aboard the Union City A Train, and our Parkinson's exercise program here in Union City would not be possible without this event. This event raises money for research, awareness, resources, and the community grants that made our program possible. I've been a part of this event ever since we received our first grant, and I've met so many incredible people, and I've had incredible experiences in teaching demos at this event. Much like our focus for this event, it's to keep people moving, and I do hope you guys join us because it's going to be able to make programs like this possible elsewhere. So please do consider joining our team, All Aboard the Union City A Train.
With regards to falls, people tend to have kind of a fear of falling, or they don't like to practice falls management. And one of the ways to do that is just to get on the floor. A lot of people are very resistant to get on the floor, but the more you can just get yourself down there, feel comfortable at your own pace in a controlled manner and a safe manner, that's one way to really help prevent falls, is by being on the floor. It's kind of weird. But first thing too, if you do end up on the floor, first thing is just relax. Don't try to like, oh my gosh, I gotta panic. Just relax, take your time, let it all come together. And then if there's a way, if you're on your back, if there's a way that you can get yourself onto your stomach and then onto your hands and knees, and from there, if you're able to, if you're not injured, you can crawl over to a chair or a stable surface and then sort of help use that piece of furniture to pull yourself back up into standing. Ideally, if there's somebody there that can help kind of spot you as you get into that standing position. And then once you're standing, take your time and come to completion with your motion and stand up fully, and then maybe walk over to the chair or sit in the chair. But, just take your time is the main thing here.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys learned a thing or two. We're gonna do this again tomorrow, but don't go away just yet. Click on the link below for the live Zoom link for Power Moves and Rock Steady Boxing.